Can go ahead and get started. Good morning. Welcome. I'm Damon Wilson. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Atlantic Council. On behalf of our Chairman, Governor John Huntsman, our CEO and President, Fred Kemp, I'm honored to open this Future Leaders Summit here at Celtic Manor, where NATO leaders will be gathering soon for their summit meeting. I want to welcome all of you as the Future Leader delegates and congratulate you. This is a tremendously talented crowd. I also want to welcome our online audience that's going to be following us through the course of the day. The delegates that are gathered here represent 34 nations. They represent entrepreneurs, CEOs, civil society leaders, parliamentary congressional staff, diplomats, and veterans from across 34 NATO allies and partners of the alliance that span North America, Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and Asia. These delegates were selected through an open, competitive process based on already proven leadership skills, and we're just delighted to have you here in the room. NATO leaders are gathering here in Wales at a historic time of challenge for the alliance. If you look from Afghanistan to Pakistan, to Syria, Iraq, Russia, Ukraine, Libya, the challenges are of a historic nature. This Future Leaders Summit is meant to provide a means for you, the delegates, to be able to contribute to helping forge solutions to these challenges. To help magnify the messages coming out of Wales, we encourage all of you following us online to tweet using the hashtag FutureNato. But the core of this effort is really to help forge and invest in the transatlantic bond and the international bonds that really underpin NATO's essence. This group has already provided input into the process, having prepared a report to NATO and the Secretary General earlier this spring to shape this agenda. Over the next 48 hours, you'll have a chance to engage with leaders on the issues that are at the top of the leaders' agenda. And we'll be working here over how to actually continue this work beyond Wales. This summit is organized by the Atlantic Council in cooperation with NATO and the Atlantic Treaty Association. I thank our partners in this endeavor, who you will hear from shortly. And I also just want to thank our partners without whom this would not have been possible. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Bob Abernathy, the Norwegian Foreign Ministry, Allied Command Transformation, the Embassy of the United Arab Emirates in Washington, the Airbus Group, the Scowcroft Group, the U.S. Mission to NATO, and Ambassador Julie Finley. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our key partner. I'd like to introduce Ambassador Klinda Grabar-Kitarovic. She's the NATO Assistant Secretary General for Public Diplomacy, and she came to that job extraordinarily well prepared, having served as Croatia's Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as for European integration, guiding Croatia on its path to both NATO and the European Union. I had the opportunity to work closely with her when she was Ambassador to the United States. She's now been our lead partner in this endeavor at NATO. Thank you very much for being with us, Klinda. Let me invite the ambassador to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. Thanks very much, Damon, for that kind introduction. Future leaders, colleagues, and friends, good morning and welcome. It's a real pleasure to be here at the start of your day at Celtic Manor and to join you here at such a critical time for NATO and Euro-Atlantic security. Let me start by thanking Damon Wilson and everyone at the Atlantic Council who have been nothing short of sensational in their energy, devotion, passion for the issues, and close cooperation with my team at NATO. Thank you, Damon, once again. I'd also like to thank Fabrizio Luccioli, hello, who will add a few words a little bit later on as we're waiting for SecGen to arrive at 9 o'clock. I'd like to thank you for the indispensable contributions of the Atlantic Treaty Association. And to all of you, welcome to Wales and to the NATO Summit. Beautiful Wales is a gateway to the Atlantic, the perfect place to host this NATO Summit and to highlight the vital links that bind the transatlantic community together. Several of you were part of a working group that provided ideas and proposals in support of the transatlantic bond earlier this year. And we at NATO are tremendously grateful for the fresh thinking and intellectual firepower that this work has brought to the table, setting the stage for a strong affirmation of this bond at the summit. And I'm delighted to see all of you here. Off to an early start this morning, and I'm looking forward to a dynamic, vibrant, exchange of views today and tomorrow, during the summit, and indeed well into the future. You are the future of this alliance and of the transatlantic community. You will have heard this before, and it won't be the last time that you hear it today. But I'd encourage you to take a moment to really appreciate the significance of that. It's a point that must be emphasized and re-emphasized today, because to accept that role is not just to recognize your many talents and potentials as future leaders, it is also to accept the responsibilities that come with it. The wide range of issues and security challenges that you will explore today, from Afghanistan to the Balkans, from the importance of partnerships to the vital role of women in peace and security, is a vivid reflection of the array of challenges that the alliance confronts and that will continue to confront after the summit. And these challenges are very real. As we witness instability to our east and to our south, as well as emerging and evolving threats not bound by geography, NATO's role has never been more important. You will hear more about these challenges and how leaders will aim to address them when you hear from Secretary General Rasmussen in just a moment. For now, I would like to offer a bit of context on what this summit and this year means for the alliance and about your role as NATO looks towards the future. As you know, this is a vital time for the alliance. The ongoing crisis in Ukraine is a vivid reminder of why we cannot take security in Europe for granted. It has demonstrated the importance of NATO's role in providing for the collective defense of our allies. And it has shown that we must remain ready at all times to deal with the challenges that we face. The summit comes as the alliance marks 65 years since its founding, 20 years since it began building formal relationships with partners, and the approaching end of our largest and longest combat operation in Afghanistan. As we reflect on our experience, we look to the future. This NATO summit in Wales will address the most pressing security challenges that we face today and are likely to face tomorrow. And it will set the course for the alliance for the years to come. This is obviously no small task, and you have a role to play. Each generation will confront its own challenges, and your generation already faces many. Which brings me back to the issue of responsibility. As active citizens and future leaders, you are not spectators in any of this. You are the owners and guardians of this alliance, which has brought us closer to our vision of a Europe that is whole, free, and at peace. But our task is still not complete. It will fall to you to preserve the stability, prosperity, and values that we all hold so dear. Your presence today is testament to your dedication. You have all contributed to building the links between Europe and America, between NATO and its partners. I'm here this morning to ask that you keep up the good work. You're future leaders, but you're also current ambassadors for your generation and those that will follow. This is vital work, and you have shown yourselves ideally suited to the task. Once again, welcome to Wales. Thank you.
Yep, straight. Go on up. Welcome. So good to see you here.
Dear friends and colleagues, good morning. My name is Rowinda Appelman, and I work for the ATA office. I'm in charge of their youth program. So when the Atlantic Council asked me to introduce the Secretary General, I was instantly put back in time in my head. I first came eye to eye with Anders Fogh Rasmussen in a very different environment than most of you did over here. I was breaking down my dusty tent with my family on top of the Dutch mountain Alpe d'Huez when my father came to me and said, "Look at this the Prime Minister of Denmark made it all the way to the top of the mountain. I would like to see Jan Peter Balke and try that. To this day, I remember that showcase of perseverance and many occasions of it after that, after 2008. From going from Prime Minister to Secretary General, Mr. Rasmussen has led us through the end of Afghanistan, the Libya case, and tirelessly aimed at bringing member states and partner countries closer together. He worked hard on focusing on the 2% ruling, on bringing in more military capabilities, and brought forward new ideas like smart defense. In January this year, I witnessed Mr. Rasmussen receive the cross in the Order of Oranje-Nassau in my country for all the hard work that he has done. He's a man of little but powerful words, as demonstrated in the speech he gave to the graduates, which I organized at Leiden University, in which he said, when a student asked what we will do with less defense budget spending, it will just be very simple. We will have more NATO. Without further ado, I hope that he will find similar clear and shortcut words for us today here, and I hope that you will welcome Mr. Rasmussen with me together. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Rogh, thank you very much indeed for that very kind and also in a way a bit surprising introduction. I didn't know that we met at Alpe d'Huez, but surely I do remember climbing Alpe d'Huez. The 21 curves really represent a challenge. But I think for a Secretary General, that's really a quite good, or a future Secretary General, that's a quite good preparation because it takes perseverance, also a bit of a patience to climb Alpe d'Huez. But though it's uphill, finally we succeed. And that's exactly how I see the work within NATO. It can be a challenge to get 28 nations to agree. But at the end of the day, there is a strong consensual spirit. And thanks to that spirit of solidarity, we succeed in making important decisions. So we are now starting one of the most important summits in the history of our alliance. And it is indeed a great pleasure to also welcome you to our NATO summit here in Wales. Let me also thank wholeheartedly the Atlantic Council for once again organizing the Future Leaders Summit. We really appreciate all your work to create the right framework for engaging the next generation in our important work. And I attach great importance to involving you in our work to strengthen the transatlantic bond. And I would also, right from the outset, thank you warmly for your contributions, your input earlier this year to strengthening our transatlantic bond. It's been a great inspiration for us in the preparations for our summit. Growing up in Denmark in the 1960s, I came of age in a Europe that was divided and dangerous, when everything could end in the flash of a nuclear exchange. Your experience has been very different. You came of age after the fall of the Berlin Wall in a Europe where conflict had been contained, where dividing lines were being erased, and where freedom, stability, and prosperity appeared to be the natural state of affairs. Russia's aggression against Ukraine has been a wake-up call. It has reminded all of us, that our freedom, security, and prosperity cannot be taken for granted. That some are trying to redraw dividing lines in Europe with force and in blood. So a Europe whole, free, and at peace remains a work in progress. NATO has stood firm in the face of this challenge. We have suspended our cooperation with Russia. We have boosted our cooperation with our partner Ukraine. We have strengthened our collective defense. And we have left no doubt that we will do whatever it takes to defend ourselves. But Russia's aggressive behavior is not the only challenge we face. We see the greatest number of crises since the end of the Cold War emerging at the same time in different places on our periphery. A climate of chaos beyond our borders, which could have direct implications for us at home. From criminal regimes and violent extremists to crippling cyber attacks. It is for all these reasons that the Wales Summit is a critical summit at a critical time, and it is why today and tomorrow we will forge a stronger NATO for a more complex and chaotic world. We will adopt a readiness action plan that will make our forces faster, fitter, and more flexible, ready to address any challenges whenever they come and from wherever they come. We already have much of the equipment, capabilities, and expertise that we need. But some changes to our force posture, positioning, and infrastructure will be needed. In short, more visible presence in the East. And this will require continued investment in modern deployable forces. Our summit will be a key opportunity to reverse the trend of declining defense budgets and to share the responsibilities for security more fairly across the alliance. We will also use our summit to strengthen our partnerships, to improve our ability to work with partners to tackle common challenges, and to help partners to develop their own capacity to spread stability in their regions. Finally, our summit will be an opportunity to enhance the transatlantic bond that is so essential to our security and our well-being. As I mentioned, a few months ago, several of you made valuable suggestions for strengthening that bond, and I want to thank you once again for that strong engagement and for your innovative ideas. Dear friends, here in Wales, NATO's 28 allies will demonstrate our commitment to our security, to our shared values, and to our vision for a better Europe. We will equip ourselves with new tools to defend that vision and to turn it into reality. I look to you to play your part too. You believe in NATO, you are young leaders, and you can decide what your future will be. So, follow us closely over the next days, and then go back to your countries, your cities, and your communities. Tell your family, your friends, and your colleagues what we did here in Wales. Tell them that the unique bond between North America and Europe is the anchor of our freedom, our security, and our prosperity. tell them that NATO is not a Cold War relic, but a powerful tool for dealing with the threats of today and tomorrow. Help make our vision of a Europe whole, free and at peace a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. Let me add a word of gratitude that Rowenda offered at the beginning for your coming to kick off the Futures Leaders Summit. This initiative really exists because of your backing, your leadership, calling for these future leaders to have some input. And so I just wanted to also thank you for your leadership, not only on the initiative, but for the Alliance right now at a time of pretty tough challenges. We've just got a couple of minutes, so I just wanted to ask one question, then perhaps take one from our delegates here as well. You've made it clear, and I think what we see coming out of this summit, very clear, a sense of clarity among NATO policy, that there's no doubt that the alliance will do what it takes to defend the allies, as you just said. And you also embrace the idea still of a Europe whole, free, and at peace remains a real work in progress. Is there a strategy emerging that you'll see coming out of Wales, not only to help deter potential aggression against NATO members, but what about deterring Russian aggression today? How is the alliance grappling with that, particularly in the case of Ukraine?
We are following three tracks in addressing this new security situation. Firstly, we have suspended all practical cooperation with Russia. Secondly, we have decided to step up our cooperation with Ukraine. Here at the summit, we will have a meeting with President Poroshenko, and we will adopt a joint declaration which outlines how we will enhance our cooperation with Ukraine to help them develop their armed forces and their security sector to make them better to actually defend themselves. Last but absolutely not least, we will strengthen our collective defense. Our core task is to defend our allies against any threat. To that end, we will adopt what we call a readiness action plan, which aims at improving our ability to act swiftly if needed. One of the core initiatives will be to establish what we call a spearhead force, a military unit that can be deployed at very short notice if needed. Then, of course, it will be followed by more forces if needed, but we will be able to deploy very rapidly if needed to provide effective protection and defense of our allies.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. Let me turn to our delegates and take a couple of questions to continue the conversation. Please, right here. And I'm going to ask our delegates to introduce themselves for our audience online as well.
Hi, how are you? Katja Gershak from Slovenia. I wanted to take this opportunity and thank you for coming here and speaking with us, and also ask you, how do you see the alliance in the next 10 years? Because we're also engaged in other areas in the world. However, today here, we're very much focused on Europe. So do you see NATO as a global policeman coming, in the coming decade, or do you really see it more focused on creating a stronger Europe and deterrence closer to home? Thank you.
I see NATO as an alliance with a global perspective, not as a global policeman. I mean, we can't solve all crises all over the world, so I don't see NATO as a global policeman. But in order to accomplish our security mission, we need a global perspective. And looking ahead in a 10-year perspective, I think it's crucial that NATO maintains and further develop the ability to address all three core tasks as outlined in our strategic concept. The first, of course, is territorial defense, collective defense of our allies. But secondly, we have also stressed in our strategic concept that we must improve our capability to conduct crisis management, which can be crucial to prevent crises from reaching our door. And finally, we also define what we call cooperative security as a third core task for NATO. And cooperative security is actually about partnerships. So I see NATO develop further our partnerships with countries, and in particular like-minded countries across the globe. I see NATO in a 10-year perspective as the hub of a global network of security partnerships.
I think we have a couple more minutes, so let me turn to our colleague here, Mark Simikovsky. Let me try to take two real quick, and I'll take one here as well.
Hi, Mark Simikovsky from the United States. In the Chicago summit in 2010, our former Secretary of State had aspirations that the next summit would be an enlargement summit. Clearly, that's not going to happen here in Wales. Can you offer some perspective on concrete measures that you're going to showcase that partnership can eventually turn into membership for countries like Montenegro, Georgia, and possibly even Ukraine?
Thank you. Let me pick up a second question, please.
Zainal from Turkey. My question is about the three core tasks that we have: collective defense, cooperative security, and crisis management. Do you see a fourth core task coming up in the next decade or so? Or let me put it in this way. When we think about the three core tasks, I do not see development or nation building, maybe in the crisis management a bit, but not totally there. Do you think that NATO's role should be enhanced, not only to take action, military action, but also for rebuilding the states when that military action happens? Thank you.
If I may start with that question. Actually, I do believe that the three core tasks cover the whole range of security challenges. But of course, you must adapt your posture and your approach as the security environment evolves. Let us take the first core task as an example: territorial defense or collective defense. In order to provide effective defense and protection of our own populations and territories, it may be necessary to operate out of area to address the threats at their roots, as we did in Afghanistan. We established our military mission in Afghanistan in the first place to prevent the country from once again becoming a safe haven for terrorists that who could use such a safe haven to launch terrorist attacks against our populations and our territories. So it's important that we find the right definition of the three core tasks and adapt to an evolving and rapidly changing security environment. If we do that, I'm sure we don't need a fourth core task, because the three will cover the whole range of security challenges, as I see it, also in a 10-year perspective. Just to add one example, cyber threats. That's also covered by the three core tasks, because, in my opinion, cybersecurity is part of collective defense, and actually at this summit we will for the first time declare explicitly that cybersecurity is part of collective security. So also when we're speaking about maybe emerging security challenges, I think they will be covered by the three core tasks. On our open door policy, we will actually take important steps at this summit. Not only will we reiterate that our door remains open to democratic countries that share our values, that can contribute to Euro-Atlantic security, but we will take two important steps as regards Georgia and Montenegro. As regards Georgia, we will adopt a substantive package for Georgia, a package that will bring Georgia closer to NATO, including a defense capacity building initiative, establishing a training center in Georgia, occasionally also exercises in Georgia, just to mention some of the examples. On Montenegro, we will decide to initiate focused talks with Montenegro with a particular view to carry out necessary reforms of their security sector, and then foreign ministers will meet by the end of 2015 and decide whether time is right to invite Montenegro to join our alliance. So these two initiatives are significant when it comes to our open door policy. So we will take steps at this summit.
Mr. Secretary General, you've got a packed schedule today. This is likely to actually play out as a historic summit. I want to thank you for carving out some time to kick off the Future Leaders Summit. More importantly, to thank you for your backing for this whole initiative from the beginning and for your leadership of the Alliance through difficult times. So please join me in congratulating and thanking the Secretary General. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Damon. All the best.
Good luck today.
Thank you.